you go. Thank you for letting me know. Okay, cool. Okay, so I'm going to quickly run through DIY chapbooks. What are these good for? So these are really good for if you're at like open mics or if you're at, let me go over, yeah, there you go. If you're at open mics, so you can either try to sell them or you should try to sell them if that's what you want to do. In my experience with open mics, poets seem to be quite bad at plugging themselves and trying to sell things, myself included. So they're good for that. They're also good for if you go to like book fairs or whatever and you want something that's like low cost to produce and you want to hand them out for free. They're also very good for that. What I really love them for, and it's an idea that I took from a poet on YouTube called Matt Wall. I know a couple of you are subscribed to the channel. You know Matt, he's been on my channel a couple of times. He actually gave me this idea, and what they're really good for, it takes a lot of energy to put out a fully formed collection. I haven't got the early hours near me, but I'll use Nathan Hunt's book. It takes a lot of energy to put a full collection together, and this is, I mean, we're already over, this is 131 pages, right? So it's a lot. But if you want to get something out there, you want to get something fresh out there, this is like a good way of doing that. As I said before, this is 10 poems, I think, 12 poems, and I think Fungal Matter was 15, maybe, I'm not sure. But as you can see, like you only need two handfuls of poems if you want. Also, what's really great is another idea I took from Matt Wall is this is 0 of 15 because this is my copy that I'm going to take to open mics and stuff. But you can really give it a sense of like collector's item. You can do a limited run of things and put personal touches to this that you wouldn't otherwise be able to do when you're ordering, you know, a stack of author copies from Amazon or whatever printer you decide to use. So it's really, I think it's a really, really nice touch, and it's really, really low cost. So that's one of the big reasons why I would say consider doing it this way. You don't have to, but consider doing it this way. One thing I'm gonna say off the bat that might upset Mark, but you can just decide not to listen to me. It's completely fine. Mark, do you have Fungal Matter? Did you get a copy
Yeah,
of
I've
that?
got a copy.
So you know I put the images in there and the like a scan of like different artworks I did.
Yeah.
That absolutely drank ink. Um, to the point where like I had to buy two cartridges. I had to spend £40 just to do those images. So what I would say is just keep that in mind if you're going to put like large illustrations in the book itself, and kind of just keep in mind like the numbers on that. If you sell more copies, obviously it will use more ink, but hopefully you'll make more profits to cover it. But if you're only doing like a limited run, like I did with Fungal Matter, it really it really um, eats into like cost and stuff. So just keep that in mind, because I believe you posted this morning about these really cool. It's a great idea. The sort of graphics that you had found. So just keep that in mind. Another thing I found, there's a reason I've kept Fungal Matter up here. So actually, bear with me 2 seconds. Bear with me 2 seconds. I'll be right back because I forgot to grab all the different equipment that you need to consider buying. So give me 2 seconds, guys. Sorry. Okay, sorry guys. So, because the reason I made a point of that, because there's a very important piece of equipment that you'll need to get, but I'll come on to that. Also, Harry just ran in, so he might jump on me at some point. So, I got, for the cover, I just got random different colored card for the cover. And one of them was brown. And so that's how Fungal Matter ended up with a brown cover. But what I didn't know, I don't know if there's any experts of what if we all left now, you know? What I didn't know when it comes to printing things, I assumed that if I printed it like this, then all the like bright light brown would just print as light brown, but it didn't for whatever reason, and I don't know if anyone knows the reason for this. It printed like this, but on a dark brown background, so it kind of looked like this. So just keep in mind, so what I ended up doing, I knew that Paws and Wings was going to be on a brighter color, so just keep that in mind. Does anyone know why that might be? Do we have any experience amongst us that might be able to tell me why that happened?
I think it's just because if you print on a colored paper, basically you lose the white background, and so the ink just soaks into that, so it just darkens and darkens and darkens.
Oh, it is? Okay.
I'm pretty sure. Like thinking about it just from the perspective of printing, like photographically, like it's just anything that background color you can't get. It's like you don't have white ink basically. There's no light color in an ink cartridge, so it just is going to add sort of like if you mix paint colors together,
Right.
you have that problem.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thank you, Genevieve. So I'm not I'm not an absolute expert at this sort of stuff, but learn from my mistakes, I guess. So if you are planning on using a dark card for your cover, just keep that in mind, that it might be very difficult to have a standout cover, unless, again, Fungal Matter was a huge learning curve for me, unless you do what I did end up doing and printing it like this, so with a brown background onto brown card. For those of you that have a copy of Fungal Matter to hand, you can see what I mean by that. But again, it just ate up so much ink, so that's probably why I went through 2 cartridges as well. So really what I did, I jumped on Amazon and I just searched like multicolored card and just got a big pack of different colors, and I think it comes with 10 sheets of each color, which is exactly the reason I went with 10 copies of Paws and Wings, even though I did end up with another sheet there anyway. Does anyone, I know that we have some photographers and Photoshop maestros with us and stuff. What I use is Canva. I don't know what the free version of Canva is like, because it's been years since I used it, and Canva has sort of almost taken over sort of the graphic design world since I first started promoting it on the YouTube channel. I mean, I've been using a pro account for the Poetry Cove for a long time now because of all the social media and stuff that I got to design with it. But Naina, you have a free account, don't you?
I do. I've not exactly used it to. I've not used it to assemble things in Canva. I've designed things elsewhere and used Canva for the final product. I would say I would probably go with especially if this is something you're really committing to do. In terms of designing something, I would probably go for the paid version. Just because I think the font, like just even for the fonts, for example, you have a decent amount. Like the free version gives you more than enough still. But I think to really get the full experience for what you need and the full range of everything, I think the paid version is worth it.
Cool. Thank you, Naina. So if that is if Canva is what you decide to do, all you do is, this is an A4 template, just landscape, and then I just put like a line. That's all that is just a line, and it gives you like, it will snap it into the center of that, and then you can design the back cover on this side, front cover on that side, and then you start doing the internal internal of the chapbook. Does anyone have any questions before we move on to the formatting of the inside of the chapbook? Because there's quite a bit to get our heads around for that. No? Cool. Okay, so let's go to the, when you're doing these, it does take some sort of, oh, I've dropped it now. It does take some getting used to, because basically what you're going to be doing is, you've got your, imagine that's your pile of A4 pieces of paper. I can't see whether that's in frame, it should be. And then you're essentially just going to fold it in half. So on your first page of the PDF, you're going to have your contents page as well as your sort of author bio sort of thing. So that takes some getting used to. But let's look at the content page. Even if you're telling yourself, oh, I'm only going to print these off to give out for free, copyright is so important. So make sure that you've got your copyright section down here. If you're going to do limited runs, this is where you can put, this book is limited to 10 numbered copies, the first 5 signed and wax stamped. Copyright Adam Gary 2024, all rights reserved. That's all you need to put. And then if you want to do the cover design by so and so, then by all means. Some of you might be considering jumping on Fiverr and getting like a professional cover designed. I mean, this is kind of a bit, again, I'm no professional, but you can see like where the pause, you can tell that I'm, they're not wrapped around the lettering and stuff. But personally, I think that gives it more, again, it gives it like a personal touch to things. But you might be considering looking at Fiverr graphic designs, and if you do, you can just put cover design by whoever it was. That's just good practice. Even if you're paying for it, it's good practice to put cover design by and then and then their name. And also it's important to put when you published it as well. So when you printed it all out, that would be your publishing date, the day you print it all out. As you can see, I only printed them out a few days ago. So yeah, and then you've got the, if you do the limited runs, you can do the 1 out of 15. I actually forgot to change this to 10. So when you guys receive your copies, you'll see I've with a biro, I've changed it to 10. So any questions on that, copyright, etc., etc.? No. Oh, I've got, hang on, I'm just going back. Sorry, guys, you can see all yourself in the screen share. One other thought about if you guys ever have anything to say, I saw it. I think you can raise your hand and I'll hear it, and then I'll stop talking, because otherwise I might miss the chat. One other thought about the color issue with the dark background is contrast. It's like those optical illusions where 2 grays that are the same color value look different depending on what they are next to. So the light color on your updated background may actually be the same color value as you originally printed, but by darkening the background, by applying it. That's a good point, Genevieve. Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
Can you explain more about copyright?
I can. So obviously I'm here in the UK, but I would imagine that everything is pretty much the same, is universal. And actually, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, so I'll come back onto that. So copyright the moment you put a poem down, it's automatically copy. It's you own it. It's your creative. It's your intellectual property. The reason we put this in the front of the reason the date is important is because if somehow or for whatever reason you find that maybe your work has been plagiarized, you've got this date to prove things. One thing I will say that might be a bit of a disadvantage with these, if it really kind of went to if it went to court and stuff like that, which hopefully that never happens, but they could just turn around and say, well, you could have printed that at any point. Whereas if you went through Herb's, through KDP or similar, there would be like there'd be metadata from the printers and like KDP, for example, that would be able to say this is exactly when the file was uploaded to our server. This is exactly when it published to marketplaces and stuff. Whereas I might be able to get that sort of data because I sell it on my website. So maybe I could contact Wix and be like, hey, this is what's happening. Can you send some sort of metadata to prove that I published a work before the other person? But if you're not planning to do that and you're just handing out these, then it might be a bit more of a fight. But in reality, the black and white of it is, as soon as you put pen to paper, as soon as you finish a poem, that is your protected intellectual property, at least here in the UK. I know that Garage Poets, Jeff Taylor from our streams, mentioned something about, and I know you're not in the States, but for Genevieve, I know in America there is
You can register your copyright.
a library or something where you can send stuff.
Yeah,
and it's
a good idea to do it if you get into a legal battle, because then you do have that like metadata and all of that.
So you'd have to look whether or not Canada has anything like that, like a copyright office or a copyright library. But if it's similar to here in the UK, which I would imagine it probably is, you're automatically the owner of your creative baby, your creative outlet. Does that make sense?
Yep, that makes sense.
I have just had an idea, class. One thing you can do, if you're going to go down this route, and this goes for everyone as well, if you want to avoid paying for this copyright library thing, Genevieve, take a copy once you've printed and finished everything. Take a copy, stick it in an envelope, like a do not bend envelope, what ones that you'll be receiving when it Paws and Wings arrives, and post it to yourself. Tracked, signed for, registered. Post it to yourself, and then never open it. Do not open it, because that will have all the dates that it arrived on your doorstep, the date that you signed for it, and then it has to, this is the most important part, it has to stay sealed. Hello, Harry. It has to say, you can't open it, because the moment you open it, then your argument goes out the window, because it's tampered with. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Class, does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. It does. And I think Canada, America, and even England, they're pretty similar.
I can't hear you, Class. I can see that you're speaking. Your microphone levels are going up, but I can't hear you. Can everyone else hear, Class? Is it a me problem?
No, I was gonna say Canada, America, and I guess the UK, maybe even Australia. I don't know, but they're all similar. Can you?
I can hear Class.
Oh no, I've lost all of you. I can't hear Genevieve either.
Oh no.
Wait, what's going on here? Hang on. Okay.
Yeah, my microphone is.
Oh no, am I crashing? I might be crashing.
I did see a notice pop up at some point that said somebody's speakers changed to a different output, so I'm thinking now it's you, Adam.
Maybe. But short version, yes, I get it.
Okay, it might be because I'm recording. It might be because I'm screen sharing or something, but I can't hear you guys. But I did.
Oh, it just occurred to me, the person who I was saying maybe had the problem with their speakers can't hear it right now.
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I can hear you guys now, but now I can't turn my camera on. Okay, it doesn't matter. You don't need to see me. Can you still see my screen though?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's the important thing. I don't know what happened there. It's all going on. But did I answer your question, class? Sorry, this is like the
Yeah.
fourth time.
Yes, you
Okay.
did.
Perfect.
Thank
Good
you.
stuff. Okay,
Yeah.
no problem. So here is where I struggled. I struggled with fungal matter, and I struggled with paws and wings, but not so much. But it was still a bit of a struggle. When you're doing it this way, assuming that you're going to be as environmentally friendly as you can, you're going to be printing front and back. So you're going to end up with page 1 looking upside down like this. And then page 2 is over here. Let me get to a double numbered. So there you go. You got page 4 on this side and page 12 on this side.
Mm.
And you'll have to go between upside down, right side up, upside down, right side up, upside down. Now, this is where I made a mistake, and you guys are going to laugh at me, and you're going to roll your eyes, and you go, "Oh, that's such an Adam thing to do." But when your copies of Paws and Wings arrive, you are going to have one poem that is going to be upside down because I accidentally forgot to flip it. So you can see that they are alternating here. So basically what you want to do is make sure that if you have an upside down poem on one side, it's going to have to be upside down on the other side. Okay,
Right.
like this. So essentially it looks like that. So you got right side up here, upside down here, right side up here, upside down, and so on and so forth. Now, what's really annoying, let me just try one more time to get my my camera up. It's just not going to play ball, is it? No, okay. So what you want to do, here's a little pointer, because again, I never figured this out for either chapbook, but I have now. You want your page count, not including your cover, so ignore these two, your page count from the contents to the last poem, you're going to want it to be an even number. So here I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But because of this, if you imagine when you're printing out your chapbook and it's all, before you folded it in half, it's just one big pile. When you come to fold it in half, your bottom page is going to be in the middle. So when Paws and Wings arrives, you guys will notice bang on in the middle of the chapbook is just blank space. So to avoid this, make sure that your page count is even. Okay. Now, if you might be saying, well, Adam, what if I've only got an odd number of poems that I want to publish? That's okay. That's okay. What you can do is, when you get to here, in theory, this, your author bio, and don't worry, I am recording this, so if you want to watch it back, if you want to watch it back in your own time, you can. So really, this should actually be here, right? And why is that? Because if you've got an odd number of poems, you want to fill it out along as much as you can, and then your middle pages can have like a little bit of your back pages can be blank. Your back pages can be blank. I don't know if I don't think I've explained that very well. Excuse me. I don't think I've explained that very well. But essentially, you can fill your middle pages with text so long as your last pages that are going to be at the back of the book have something on it like this, or they can be the blank pages. Does that make sense? It probably doesn't, and I wouldn't blame you if it didn't make sense. It's just I'm struggling to find the words to explain it.
I was going to ask if you need me to help demonstrate with Fungal Matter. I can show up pages like one of those
Please, if you
prices
don't
right.
mind, because I'm dying here.
Okay. Just let me know what you're doing, and then I'll.
So I'll just try one more time to explain it. So if you can see on my screen, this is going to be your end page. This will be the last page with text on it in your chapbook, okay? But you don't want to do what I've done down here, over here. You see how this is blank? You don't want that. You don't want that. You want there to be text over there. If you're saying to me, yeah, but I've only got an odd, the amount of poems that I want to publish are odd, and I don't want to force any other poems out. What I am trying to tell you is that is okay, just as long as the last few pages like this are the blank pages, because these are going to be the pages that are at the back of your book, is what I'm trying to say. You've got to imagine that you've printed these out and folded them in half. So this is at the front of the book, but because you've folded it in half, this becomes your last page. So as long as these are blank and then that's your last page, you won't have two blank pages bang on in the middle of your chapbook. Naino, if you could please demonstrate that. Thank you. You are great stuff. Great job, Naino. Thank you.
If it's helpful to physically do it, just print out, like, just take blank pieces of paper, stick them all together, and write, like, front cover, write what's on them, then unstaple it or unfold it, and so you can just look at it and be like, oh, page this and this and this and this go together, because otherwise, yes, folding things is fun.
Thank you. So does anyone have any questions with that? No. Cool. Good stuff. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to quickly stop sharing my screen. I'm going to try my webcam one time. No, it's not going to do it. Okay, that's fine. That's not fine, actually. That's really not fine, because I need to show you this special stapler. So when it comes, if you're going to do it this way, you need a special stapler, which I can't show you, but I might be able to get a link for you. So when I was learning about this, Matt Wall said, I have to get a stapler that costs £120. I thought, £120 for a stapler? I cannot do that. Like, I cannot justify that. So I did a little bit of looking on Amazon. I'm going to get you guys a link. But you can't use just a regular stapler, is what is the point. But there is a much cheaper. I got mine for £20. So I saved £100, and I can't spell. A rotary stapler, there you go. That's nice and easy. A rotary stapler is what you're going to need. Oh, I didn't even spend £20. I got it for £6. Wow, bargain. So I'm going to put that in the chat just so you guys can see the kind of stapler that you need. So there's a link in the chat box now. This does go to Amazon UK. Let me see if I can get a link. Amazon.com. I did have an account with them too. Rotary stapler. Oh, there's loads on here as well. $6, $11. Nice. So just make sure that you remember to get one of those at some point. That's basically it. I mean, that's really all there is to it. Once you've got your poems, we did speak the first check-in. We did talk about like themes and stuff. You don't necessarily have to have a theme. Again, we said, remember, I think it was Genevieve. Didn't we say that you could have your theme could be Genevieve's first chapbook?
Yeah, you suggested that for a lot of us because we were like, I don't know what we're doing.
Yeah,
like, it could just be My first chapbook, I was like,
There you go. Exactly. Or I mean, we haven't. Let's not forget. We've still September's a long month. We've still got what 2.5 weeks, maybe a bit more, 3 weeks. Let's have a look.
A week and a bit.
Yeah, that's what I said. We got a
weeks
week
are
and a
3
bit.
days long in your mind, is what I'm learning. So yeah, 2.5 weeks. It's fine.
So we got a week and a half left. So we are coming to the end, unfortunately, but we still have some time. So if between now and sorry, I'm getting a really dry throat. Between now and the end of the month, you still got time to think of a theme. But if you really don't want to think of an overarching theme, then don't worry about it. It's fine. So with all of that being said, is there any questions in general about the challenge, about anything I've discussed, anything anybody wants to know?
I just have a little bit of a, I don't know if it's a random question or not, but the printer I own is this, oh god, it's 100 years old. It's like a really old Lexmark printer. It's barely functional. So I was wondering if there's any kind of ideal printer to use, or can you just use any old thing?
I also don't have the best printer around either, and I'm not massively hot on any of this, to be honest with you. Maybe Genevieve, I think you do a lot of printing, don't you? Photos and stuff.
Used to print at home and print my own photos, and cost-wise, it became not cost-effective. So I also at home just have like a HP OfficeJet random old printer at this point as well. If I want to print something somewhat cost-effectively but not spend a ton of money, I'll look for like a FedEx office or what a similar like just little copy store, and usually that's not a bad price because they'll do laserjet prints or something that are pretty cheap. That's another option. Long-term laserjet printing is kind of cheaper, but the investment up front is way more expensive and terrible for photos. But for text, great. But yeah, there are some pretty decent, like, $150 printers, but also depending on how much you're printing, it sometimes really is more cost effective just send it somewhere.
I know that Matt Wall said something about grayscale. Find a printer that has grayscale on it. I don't know what that means.
I do. I can answer.
Okay.
I can potentially answer that. Is if you want one with the grayscale mode, because otherwise, some printers, what they do instead of using like a black ink and then printing in grayscale, they will just take all your color inks and dump all the colors together to make black over and over, and you will run through a color cartridge like crazy.
Okay.
Some printers you can kind of cheat that. It depends on the printer, and just pull the color cartridge out, and it will force it into grayscale mode. That depends on the printer because some won't print if you've taken the cartridge out. So that is another way to get around it. Or if you have things that are in color and black and white, print the color page and then print all the black and white pages. Because if you only print black and white, most printers will then just use the black ink.
Got you.
It depends on the printer, but those things typically work. But yeah.
Perfect. Thank you, Genevieve. So that's that. Yeah, that's the only recommendation I'd say is find one with a grayscale. But yeah, I don't have the most expensive printer going by any means. Sometimes to get it to work, I have to slap it on the side, like give it a good smack, and then it starts working again. But yeah, no, I don't think you need any sort of like super printer. Yeah, does anyone else? Oh, okay, so if we're going to go down this road and you want to make an actual thing of it, we can. I know that a lot of you guys probably have heard me talk about this on YouTube, but Etsy, you can look at Etsy if you want to sell on Etsy. I took fungal matter off of Etsy, and thank you, Genevieve, for grabbing one of those. I think you grabbed a fungal matter as well, didn't you? So with Etsy, when I first signed up, I was getting bombarded with emails that I thought that looked pretty legit from Etsy saying, I need, to finish security clearance, I need to open this link, blah, blah, blah. It was all a scam. Etsy is riddled with scammers. So be aware of that. another thing to be aware of is Etsy don't only take a commission from your sales, which is fine. You know, Etsy have to make, you know, their own bit of money as well, so they take a commission from a sale, but they also charge you just to be listed, which I think is not a great. It's not great, especially for us. You know, if so, Matt Wall is very lucky. He has a lot of traffic go to his Etsy store, so he sells, you know, while he sleeps. But if you're not selling copies, they are still charging you each month to be up there, which is exactly why I took myself off of Etsy, because every month I kept getting a bill to my email. I'm like, what do you mean you're charging me to have 2 copies of Fungal Matter listed? So keep that in mind. If you're going to say to yourself, yeah, I'm going to make a real push of it, I'm going to upload to Etsy, I'm going to promote it, I'm going to get lots of sales, then you might think that listing price is worth it. But if you're thinking to yourself, I'm going to make these chapbooks, I'll throw a couple on Etsy and hope that they sell, but if they don't, no problem. Just keep in mind you will be billed every month while you're not making sales. So just keep that in mind. But other than that, that's really all I kind of wanted to go through with you guys. So as I say, Herb will be joining us next week to talk about KDP and maybe a way of doing it that is a little bit simpler. KDP takes care of most of it for you, but it doesn't have that personal touch. So I'm just selling you the personal touch version of Chapbooks. So feel free to like unmute yourselves and ask any questions and stuff like that. Okay, cool. I just feel like really awkward because I can't even turn my camera on. Let me stop recording for a minute. Okay, is there definitely no questions? If you do have a question, please feel free to ask it, because there might be someone who watches this playback that might have the same question and you'll get it answered for them. So no?
I
What?
think we covered everything.
Great. Okay, cool. All right, I will stop the recording then.